All right, we're back with JJ Pattishall Basic Guitar Series. What's going on, JJ? Stage is all yours.
All right. Good to see everybody today. Thank you for joining me. So today is going to be our last lesson in this particular kind of series that we've been doing, which we've been focusing on all our chords down here in the open, what we call like the open position, or down from the first position up to the third fret here. So we really haven't been going much further than that third fret. So it's a nice little box. And so we've, right at the end of this, we'll kind of review some of the things that we've done. But let's kind of give you the last little bit that you're going to need to cover. Once you have these last two chords and these last two approaches to the rhythm, you will be able to cover a lot of ground. There's going to be so many songs that you'll be able to learn. You'll have a good, solid foundation. You'll need to keep practicing and working with these. Learning to change from one chord to the next is really key in order to be able to play the songs you want to play, or write your own songs. Because remember, it's one thing to know how to play the chords. I can play a G chord, I can play a C chord, but in order to play songs or write my own, I need to be able to change from one to the next seamlessly without stopping and then adding rhythm. So we've covered a lot of ground. Today, let's look at two last really cool chords that you're going to need. Today, we're going to talk about D minor. Will be the first one. So the D minor, quick review if you know how to play a D major. So the D major is right here, right? First finger is on we're in the second fret. First finger is on the third string. Second finger is on the first string. Third finger is on the second string and the third fret. Everything, remember with D, in this position, everything is really kind of crunched together. It's hard to see, so you really want to make sure that, let me get my tuner out of the way so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. If you look, my fingers are curled. You want to make sure they're up on their tips, all right? Keep that wrist low. I can see I can kind of fit my finger between the bottom of the neck and my palm there. So that's key to like kind of being able to play these chords. And my thumb is straight across the back. All right, don't let it come over the top. So D, that's the D major, right? So like some of the other chords that we've played, there's also a minor that corresponds to that. So if this is D major, here's D minor. You can hear the difference in the sound. Again, remember, it's that bright and happy versus dark and mysterious or sad. All right, so to play the D minor, if this is D major, the cool thing is we have a common finger. So the third finger can stay, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that second finger up to the third string and the second fret, and the first finger is going to jump over here into the first fret on the first string. So one more time I'll show you. I always like to look for common strings when I'm playing my chord forms. So what I do here is third finger stays, second finger jumps up in the same fret, this is the second fret, up to the third string, first finger jumps over here on the first fret on the first string. Remember, that's the E string. When we count our strings, it's the bottom up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so right here. 4 strums. Remember that when you play, you gotta kind of, once you press into that chord, you gotta maintain that pressure. Keep that wrist low, keep the fingers up. All right, so that's your D minor. So D major, D minor. See if you can practice going between those two sounds. 4 strums on each. D major, 2, 3, 4, D minor. All right, so the cool thing about this chord now is that it's an easy jump to our F major. So if this is D minor, this is our F major. So if we're playing our D minor, check this out. The second finger can stay. The third finger comes up here in the third fret on the fourth string, that's our D string. And then the first finger, the best way to approach this is I can start with my finger up on the second string in the first fret. So it becomes technically what we call an F major 7. Because the key to this one, all right, so this is going to be kind of our challenge for the day, is this is kind of the beginning of our bar chords. So it's a real kind of small, kind of like, we'll call it a mini bar, right? Because I just have this first finger laying across the first and the second string in that first fret. If I'm going to play a straight F major chord, I keep it flat. Then I got to add that second finger on the second fret on the third string. Third finger's on the third fret on the fourth string. That's the D string. This is tricky because this finger here has to lay flat. So if I were you, one of the things I would do is get that finger, see if you can get a sound just on those two strings. Go to the first fret, lay it flat on the first and the second string. See if you can get that finger to lay right across those. You might have to angle your finger a little bit. That's okay. And now what I want to do is push in and see if you can get a sound. Just try playing those two strings. Then you can try adding the second finger on the third string in the second fret. And then when you're ready, you can add that last finger, third fret on the fourth string. Now, if that's tricky, you can, to just kind of get moving, you can play, you can just go 3, 2, and keep that first finger on the first fret on the second string. If you can't make that bar, but you want to just kind of get playing, keep that finger up and little by little work on that bar. So when I say keep it up, all I'm meaning is instead of creating a bar here, it just goes 3, 2, and the first finger is on the second string in the first fret. So it's not laying flat. I know it's kind of hard to see with this camera here, but it's actually not touching the first string. That first string is open. So that becomes what we call, technically that would be an F major 7. You'll hear that in jazz a lot. But it's that's a real beautiful, colorful chord as well. Sounds great in songs. So you can use that chord as kind of one of those 2-in-1 shapes, right? So you have the F major, and you have an F major 7. The F major 7 is, again, it's a great way to kind of get yourself ready for that F major so that you can get playing while you kind of keep working on creating that bar, because that's going to be essential. The cool thing is, here's a little tip. If you can play this F chord, you can move up and down the neck with that. All I have to do is move that same shape. I can move that anywhere. So once you've learned an F major here, now you're moving into bar chords. I can play up here, it's a G major. Move up 2 frets, it's an A major. It's a movable chord form. And this is a great entry point for the next kind of series of lessons when we start talking more about bar chords. All right, but the key to that is to work on getting that bar on that first fret, okay? So we've got D major and D minor, and you've got F major, and then you've got a straight F triad. All right? So this would be the easier form, the F major 7, and then lay it flat. All right, so check this out. That leads us to one last thing. We've been talking about rhythms, right? So we'll start on that F major 7. I'm going to play this chord and use it for my example. So when we're talking about rhythm, the last kind of, I called it our universal rhythm, was this down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down. So this rhythm applies to, we talked about all sorts of different styles. So I can play. right, so this rhythm is a lot of fun to play, but even within the context of this rhythm, we can approach it a couple different ways and get different types of feels. All right, so we can get different feels out of this. So what I mean by that is, for instance, you can play it when I'm playing it just the way we did. We call that, I'm playing that straight. Another way to approach it, and you hear this a lot in jazz and blues, is that you can swing it. And what does that mean? It means it has this little bit of a bounce to it. So it would sound more like this. Versus and the way I do this, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. You want to emphasize that downstroke. So I still play it the same way. The rhythmic pattern is the same, but the feel is slightly different. It has more of a lilt to it. And I'll kind of shift this camera here so you can see what my right hand is doing a little better. So when I do this one more time. Okay, so now you can see the right hand. The rhythm is still the same. I'm going to play my F major 7. But when I play, instead of down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, I'm going to change the emphasis. It's going to be down, down, up, down, up, 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 down. So like a heavy downstroke, down, down, up, down, up. And that's a little quicker on the upstrokes. Down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, 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 up. And you can emphasize that first upstroke. Down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. So that down and that up on the second half of the rhythm. So down, down, up, down. And the way you'll hear the difference, check this out. I can play a chord progression. I'll play G, C, D, C, G. Here's playing it straight. Just depends what you're going for. So this is playing it straight. Now we'll swing it. Down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down. Just depends what you're going for, all right? If I want something, if it's more of an upbeat, bouncy kind of tune, then I might want to try swinging it. If it's something bluesy, then I'm gonna definitely, if I'm playing like some sort of a shuffle, I'm going to kind of play around with that swung rhythm, all right? You hear this a lot, especially in country music. You'll hear it in a lot of dance music. I always like country is a great example because you'll hear things that are often either straight or swung. So what I mean by that is you can hear it. This is straight. And it works, but if you want to give it a little something extra, and one last little thing that we can do here, if you're looking for some rhythmic ideas, again, we're just trying to see how much we can get, maximize what we have to work with. The last thing we can do is you can add some rhythmic, we can add some chokes and slaps to our rhythm. So you'll hear guys like, a great example is somebody like, if you've ever listened to somebody like Jack Johnson, all right? So if I play, instead of playing the rhythm like this, I can keep it straight now, but I want to make it more percussive. Remember, the guitar is something it's a stringed instrument, but it's also very percussive in the way we approach. It's a rhythmic instrument as well. So if I want to kind of bring some of that into my playing, instead of playing it just like this, can do this. All right, and if you want to know how I do that, here's the trick. If you want to learn how to choke the guitar, right? All I got to do, a great way to practice is, I just lay my fingers. I'm not going to push down. I just lightly, I'm literally just laying them on the strings. So I just touch the strings, and then I get that sound. I can move it around. I'm not pressing down, because if I push down, I start getting sound out of it, right? So I just kind of I mute the strings essentially. And when I do that, it creates this kind of reiki, choky sound on the body here, okay? So how does that work in the context of playing now? We can do this. So if I'm playing a G chord, instead of playing just down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, all right? The rhythm is exactly the same. It's still gonna play that same rhythm, but it's where I place the accents. So check this out. It's down, choke, up, choke, up, down, choke, up, choke, up. And how do I do that? Well, what I'm doing is I play the G, and then when I come back down, so down, choke, and I am kind of just briefly laying those fingers flat across the strings. Down, choke, up, choke, up, down. So basically what I do is on the strokes, on the necessary strokes, I let the fingers kind of collapse. So it's down, choke, up, choke, up, down, choke. And I'm actually using a little bit of my right hand here too. So it's almost like I'm kind of chopping, I'm getting real close to those strings, and I'm kind of chopping into the guitar a little bit. Choke, up, choke, up, down, choke, up, choke, up. So all I'm doing, again, on that left hand, is on those strokes, down, and then what I do is I kind of let them just fall in between the strokes. So down, choke, up, choke, up, down, choke, up, choke, up. The beauty of this is you're only having to choke on the down strokes. Down, choke, up, choke, up. So that makes it a little easier. But the cool thing about this now, right, is that once we start doing this, this opens the door for all kinds of things. So for instance, again, once we start moving on stylistically, you can play something like Jack Johnson. So you can go that route. It also opens to the door to rhythms like funk and reggae. Because I need those chokes. I need to, now I'm approaching the guitar from a much more rhythmic sensibility. I can play funk if you want to play James Brown. Those rhythms may be a little more complex, but the concept is still the same. Because what you have to learn to do is kind of how to move around with that left hand, right? How to get the sounds you need by learning to work when you do and when you don't want to apply pressure, okay? But the gateway to that is going back to what we just did. Because once you can do that and you get comfortable with that, you can do it anywhere. Choke up, choke up, down, choke up, choke up, down, choke up, choke up, down, choke up. All right. So now, over the course of these past few lessons, we've laid a foundation to really get you moving. You've got all kind of a good chunk of your open chords that you'll need to jump into, especially if you're learning kind of early folk, pop, rock songs. You're gonna have a lot of fun just being able to navigate through all of these, okay? And then you've got some core rhythmic ideas, some core rhythms that will allow you to start kind of exploring different styles, different artists, different approaches, all right? So this should be a nice foundation to get you moving, and this will lay the groundwork for even now moving towards bar chords and working our way up the neck, all right? So let's go ahead, we'll do a little review, and I'll see you in the next lesson.